Hello guys, it's MPV. Today I'm gonna try to explain the basics of photography. Enjoy. Right, cool. There are three main things you need to know about the technical side of photography. Here they are. The first I'm gonna talk about is aperture. Aperture is in the lens. There's a thing called the diaphragm. This opens and closes according to what you want. So the wider it is, the more light you have coming in. For example, f2.8. That's a really big aperture size. Well, something like f16 is really close and narrow, which means less light is coming through, right? Aperture also controls the depth of field. What is the depth of field? Is the amount of your image that is in focus. So for example, you have this Rubik's Cube. The background is not quite all in focus, but compared to this image, you have a really shallow depth of field. Alright, this one is taken on a bigger value, like f4 or so, while the other one is a smaller. So the smaller it is, the more depth of field you have in your image, and the wider it is, the less depth of field, so you have a blurry background. Alright, that is aperture. Right, now, second, shutter speed is how fast your image is taken. So in your camera you have a curtain that opens and closes during the amount of time that you want it to. So a fast shutter speed would make your camera take a real fast image. So, alright, the thing is that it's really quick. This means that movement in the frame would freeze with a high shutter speed. So if I wave my hand would be freeze right here. While if you take a slow shutter speed value, like a 20th of a second, you'll have a blurry hand because the camera would take a picture for a longer time. Or a second, it would be like, and all the movement would be registered on the camera. In this image you have me spreading cards. As you can see, it's really blurry because of the motion, because this was taken with a slow shutter speed. While in this one, the cards are freeze falling because the shutter speed was faster. As well as aperture, shutter speed also controls the light in a different way, because it doesn't affect the depth of field, it affects movement in the image. So with a higher value of shutter speed, you have less light coming in because it's coming for a shorter amount of time into the sensor of the camera, and a long exposure image would register all the light that comes through that amount of time, resulting on a brighter image. So basically you can use these two, aperture and shutter speed, to compensate the exposure of your image. Right, so there's also ISO. ISO is how sensitive your camera is to light. ISO would be needed in, for example, when you don't have much light in the scene and you don't want to slow down the shutter speed, then you could increase the ISO. Usually it's better to keep the ISO at the lowest, for example 100, 200, because otherwise you have a lot of grain in your image, those little dots called noise. Unless you want them to be in there, it's better to keep the ISO down. The lower the ISO, it means less noise and higher quality. So unless you need to, it's better to keep the ISO down. Alright, so there you go. Aperture, shutter speed and ISO. So these are the three main things that you need to know in photography to shoot in manual mode and have control over your image. So I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. And that's it. See you later.